Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're going to pull back the curtain on the business of sports betting. We're going to use our source material to really break down how a modern sportsbook actually works.
Okay, so let's just dive right into this, because it's a pretty provocative question. You see, our source material, it doesn't frame this as some kind of shady, back-alley operation. Not at all. It presents it as a genuine, modern entrepreneurial venture. So what does it really take?
All right, first things first. We really need to redefine what a bookie even means in today's world. I mean, you gotta forget all those old stereotypes from the movies, because success in this field, it's all about skill. It is not just about chance.
Now this is where it gets really interesting. The skill set it lays out. We're talking about a pretty diverse mix of, well, classic business skills. So see, it's not about having some magic crystal ball to pick winners. Nope. It's about being a really savvy business operator who knows how to manage customers, marketing, and the overall strategy.
Okay, so you master those skills. What's the potential upside? Well, let me tell you, the opportunity is, frankly, enormous. Let's just take a look at the numbers.
Get ready for this. The global gaming market is already worth over $35 billion. That's just massive. We're talking about a huge, established industry with an absolutely enormous customer base already built in.
But here's the kicker. It's not just big, it's growing fast. We're looking at a projected 20% growth in just the next 3 years. That right there signals a booming market. This is an industry that is very, very much still on the rise.
And this slide really illustrates where all that growth is coming from. You could see sports betting is leading the pack. And what's driving it? Well, it's being driven heavily by the biggest trend of all, mobile betting. It makes sense, right? People want to place wagers anytime, anywhere, right from their phones. So the big question is, how does a bookie actually make money in a market this huge? Well, it's not about winning bets. Let me say that again. It's not about winning bets. The business model is built to take a consistent 5 to 10% commission on the total volume of money being wagered. And that is the key.
And when you translate that small percentage into actual, real income, well, the numbers start to get really, really interesting. I mean, think about it. Even a relatively small operation, maybe just handling a few $1,000s in bets a week, can generate a pretty substantial 5 or even 6-figure annual income.
All right, let's get practical now. How is this business actually built from the ground up? Where do you even start? Well, it all begins with building your customer base.
The strategy for getting players is actually pretty straightforward and honestly, super effective. You start small with your immediate network, friends, family, Then you focus on building trust, which generates those all-important word-of-mouth referrals. And finally, you scale up by tapping into online communities where, hey, sports fans are already hanging out.
Okay, so getting players is one thing, but you know what? Managing the money, that's everything. It really just boils down to a couple of golden rules. First, you absolutely must have enough cash on hand to pay out winners right away, immediately. That's how you build trust. Second, you have got to be disciplined about collecting what you're owed. That means don't go offering credit left and right, and always, always settle up weekly. Trust me, it's the only way to avoid getting burned. All right, now let's talk about the engine that makes this whole modern version of the business even possible. We're talking about the technology. The software that automates and secures the entire operation.
And this quote from our source material, it just captures it perfectly. In today's market, you have to understand, technology isn't just a nice to have. It's not just a helper. It is the fundamental infrastructure of the business. You simply cannot compete without it, period.
So, what does this tech actually do? Well, it gives you a whole toolkit. We're talking top-tier security, real-time dashboards that give you all your business intelligence at a glance, and even tools to keep players engaged, like live casinos. And it also includes some really sophisticated risk management features, like something called a layoff account. That basically lets a bookie offload a big, risky bet onto another, even bigger bookie so they can limit their own financial exposure. Pretty smart, right? So here's the really crucial point. This technology, it completely transforms what could be a full-time, super high-stress job into something, well, something manageable, maybe even a side business. Because when you automate all those tedious tasks, like setting the betting lines and tracking all the payments, it means you can run a profitable operation in just, say, 2 to 4 hours a week. That's a game changer.
Okay, it's time to pull back the final curtain. We've looked at the market, we've talked about the strategy, we've seen the tech. Now, let's get to the fundamental profit mechanism that sits right at the heart of this entire business.
But wait, before we head to the secret sauce, a quick word of warning. Profitability here is 100% about discipline. You have to avoid those classic rookie mistakes. Stuff like taking way too many bets on the local home team. That's a huge exposure risk. Or offering really risky prop bets before your bankroll is big enough to handle a major loss. You know, a prop bet is a wager on something other than the game's final outcome, like who scores the first touchdown. Got to be careful with those early on.
And here it is, the real secret. Bookies don't make money by being lucky gamblers. No way. They make money the same way a casino does, or even a credit card company. They profit from something called the VIG. Just think of it like a small service fee, typically around 10%, that's built right into every single bet. It's a mathematical edge that basically guarantees they'll profit over the long haul no matter who actually wins or loses any single game.
And that right there, that really summarizes the entire shift in perspective we've been talking about. It's all about moving away from the mindset of a gambler and into the mindset of a business operator, someone who manages risk, leverages technology, and relies on a built-in mathematical edge.
So I'll leave you with this final thought to chew on. When someone is armed with management software, data analytics, and all these marketing strategies, is the modern bookie really less of a gambler and more of, well, just another type of tech entrepreneur? It's something to think about, for sure. Thanks for joining us on The Explainer.